Hey, what's up guys? Welcome to the Movement Center and welcome to the Runner Series, where we break down the runner body joint by joint from the foot and ankle all the way to the head so that you can move and run like you mean it. Welcome to episode 5 of the Runner Series, and today we are focusing on the hip, the engine of the runner, okay? So for this, guys, the first thing we're going to look at is a test to see if your hip range is lacking or limiting at all. And then we're going to go through a release technique, a lengthening technique, and then activation so you can get those hips strong. Now keep in mind, hip stuff's often involved with ankles, knees, even some low back, upper body stuff if you're kind of flex forward. But for the purposes of today, we're going to focus a bit on the hip, and you can check out the other episodes on the other parts of the body to kind of bring it all together. All right, so to start with, we're going to look at our first test, which is the lunge. So we have our two runners here. They're going to lunge towards me. And what we're looking at here, guys, the test for this, when you drop down to your lunge, if you can hold that knee just above the ground, is what's it looking like. How far is your knee tracking forward? Is your upper body staying kind of straight up upright without arching? And Mark's actually looks pretty good here. You can see he's pretty neutral through his core. If you look at Jess, she's really extending over here. I don't know if you can see that okay on camera. Maybe Jess, if you could angle a little bit more towards this way. So this way, like that, and go back into that again. If you guys are someone that's extending or arching a little bit, right, and kind of accentuate that a little bit in that through position, you know that hip flexor is really turning and pulling that pelvis forward on that side. You can come up and standing there. So things you're looking at, just for basics point, is as a runner, you need to be able to extend that leg to push you off. And if you can't get there, you're compromising to get there. That's going to smoke your low back or the front of your hip or the knee. So things to kind of focus on, okay? The other test to look at, we want to look at rotation. How well is your hip rotating the socket back and forth? So we're going to use Jess for this. She lays on her back. What you guys are going to do is quick test on yourself. You're going to bend down on the ground, lay down on the ground, bend one knee 90 degrees. Perfect. You're going to grab underneath the hip and hold it. And what you're going to do is actively twist your hip out as far as you can. So you're going to twist out that way, perfect, and then the other way. And Jess has pretty good range. She's a little stiff in this way, all right, but the other way is not too bad. We want to see about 45 degrees back and forth on this, guys. So when she twists this way, we want to see that bad boy get to at least about 35, 40 degrees, and when she goes this way, about the same, even a little bit more this way. All right, so she could work a little bit more into this direction, but generally, if you can't get motion on both sides pretty evenly, so we dance with your hip there, sorry, Jess, it's something you want to work on, okay? Awesome, you can come on up. Now, to start with here, the first release we're going to do is call this the glute grinder. I'll put a link to the full video of this, guys, but what you're going to do is get a ball into your butt you're trying to work on. So we'll give Mark this guy, Just this one. You're going to lay down on your back, guys, and then what we're going to do is get the ball into the bum derriere region, right into the glutes, perfect, and your knees are bent. And then what we're going to do is put as much pressure or as little pressure as you want to on that ball. And then a lot of people roll back and forth. I don't love that. Your sciatic nerve runs there. You can irritate that bad boy. So what I'd rather you do is put pressure on it and then take your hip and fall it out to the side and then come up back up. So fall out to the side and come back up. And as you go down, you should feel that pressure pick up on that hip. Right, so come back up, and again, Mark's tough, so he can put more weight on it and then roll back and forth on that thing. He can bend his knee more, so bend that knee a little more, Mark, and kind of fall this way, and he'll feel a little bit differently in the hip, feel a little differently, right? And you can kind of work on different spots. So first release that glute, okay? Great. So number 2 is our lengthening technique to kind of open this stuff up. Now, again, we can do a whole bunch of stuff for the hip, but for today, we're going to work on that hip extension component where a lot of runners are limited. So if you guys face the camera, I'm going to do it this way. We're going to go into our lunge stretch like this, okay? And the key thing here I see a lot of people do wrong is really overextend and kind of do this wonky stuff. I want you guys to really think about taking your pelvis and posteriorly rotating it. Our hip flexor plugs in to the front of the spine, into the front of the hip. So if you arch from your back and then go forward, you're really just shortening it from one side, lengthening it from the other, which is really not doing anyone any good. So you're going to kind of roll your hip back and kind of activate it, and then lean forward and squeeze that butt to really stretch it. The one thing I want us to add into this, guys, as your runners out there, is we really need to get rotation of the hip. So you're going to bias into rotation. So you're going to take that hip and turn it out a little bit, just like that. Beautiful. Beautiful. So they're kicking that foot out, just like that. And you'll pick up that stretch a little bit more in the front of the hip when you do that, guys, okay? Beautiful. To hold that stretch. So I'll just show you guys one more time. So you're here, you activate it, and you twist that hip, rotate that hip out, and feel that nice beautifulness in the front of the hip, right? Isn't it wonderful? Wonderful, good, perfect. Now the last component of this is to activate that position. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to have Mark try here. So Mark's going to grab that, put it around his knees, and I'm going to take this one. And Jess is going to come in between us. She's going to be our wall. So Jess is our solid rock. She's our wall. We're both going to put a hand on our shoulders. Now, to do this, guys, I'll demo first, is we're gonna stand with our feet, our knees stacked over our toes, okay? And we're gonna go into a runner position. Okay, now I don't want that foot to drop. I want that knee to stay over your toe, and your hips aren't gonna drop, they're gonna stay level. Then the exercise is, is against the wall, holding on, and you're gonna let that hip drop back and forth, keeping that distance between, right, to really activate those glutes, and come back up. Be careful you don't pull from the top of your back, you wanna feel this in your hip, okay, as you come up. So let's take a look, Mark, do this. I'm gonna stick in front here, guys. Beautiful. Oh, hold on, give her a hug, yeah. Mark's trying to be tough. So he comes here and perfect. He's dropping down with his hip and then coming back up. Good. Back down and back up. Good. And you can see Mark's kind of bending and straightening his knee. We want to keep that knee in a solid runner bend as you do this, and then drop down and up. Beautiful. Good. And keeping a little more space there. So you want to make sure you're activating the space with the glutes, keeping your hips stable up here while maintaining that good alignment. Okay, a lot going on with this exercise, but a really good one to kind of put all these components into just one exercise. Okay? You can take a break. Good. So that's for the hip, guys. First thing you want to do again is release that back of the glutes, then get in and stretch the front of the hip to open up and get some good extension back there, and then finally strengthening that stuff in so you have good hip mobility and kind of strength and stability. All right. So if you guys like this, go down and hit like. We appreciate that. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. If you have any questions, please let us know. We're happy to answer those. And more than anything, move like you mean it. Thanks a lot, guys.